Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming, welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Analysis. Up for analysis today is Tesaday. Tesaday and Baltic used to be the fastest 2-unit team, but Baltic, blinded by ambition, stole tricks from Tesaday and joined the big leagues, leaving his friend behind humiliated and furious. After years of studying Baltic's flaws, Tesaday is ready for vengeance, faster and stronger than ever. Wow, this really paints Baltic in a different light. I always thought of Baltic as an awesome superhero, and now it's like he kind of betrayed his best friend. But anyways, this isn't about Baltic, this is about Tesaday. And so, as of the time recording this video, there are 23 Earth legendary monsters, so I'm going to be comparing Tesaday to the rest of those monsters. And so, Tesaday has a power of 3,344. Compared to the other Earth legendary monsters, this puts him in 14th place, not a really high power. As far as life, Tesaday has a life of 25,032. Once again, pretty low. This actually puts him in 22nd place. And I mentioned there's currently a total of 23 Earth monsters, so he's second from the bottom. He's really not meant to take much hits. Fortunately for Tesaday, what he lacks in power and life, he makes that up with his speed. With a speed of 3,476, this makes him the fastest Earth legendary monster, tied with Hiram the Tenacious, the VIP Earth monster. So his power's not the greatest, it's a little below average, his life is absolutely terrible, second from the bottom, and his speed, he's tied for being the fastest. And as for his trait, he has Hardened. All status effects have a 20% less accuracy against it. An amazing trait to have. Considering he's an Earth monster, that means there's a 20% chance he can't be stunned. Whatever element he goes up against, there's a 20% chance he can't be immobilized. Now, I normally don't do this with my analysis. I don't like to compare monsters of one element to a different element, but with Tesaday, because he is Baltic's nemesis, I am just going to compare their stats. Baltic has a power of 3,355, a life of 24,429, and a speed of 3,465. So stats wise, Baltic is slightly stronger than Tesaday. As for life and speed, Tesaday wins. And both Baltic and Tesaday have the exact same trait. So now let's take a look at skills. For default, we have Rock Fist and Nicola Avatar, nothing too interesting there. As for Tessaday's ultimate, Dust Storm, deals very heavy special damage to all enemies, may apply Quicksand to all targets. So Dust Storm is a special based AoE that deals 65 damage to all the enemy monsters, and the description says that this skill applies Quicksand, but then below the description it actually says Burning, and I think in the game it's actually Burning, so the ultimate does Burning, which I guess because Tesaday is an Earth monster, the DLTs are a really good way to chip away at the Earth monster's life. You know, Earth monsters tend to be really tanky. And also with regards to Tesaday being an anti-Voltic, I guess this would really help out, right? If you're able to land Burning on an enemy Voltic, that's going to chip away 45% of his life in a matter of 3 turns. So if you deal initial damage plus that Burning, that could be enough to kill that Voltic. In skills group 1, we have Mineral Fist, Jamming Sand, Sand Turf, nothing interesting here, so we're going to skip to skills group 2. The first skill we have is Ground Melter. Deals low earth damage to all enemies, may apply Quicksand to all targets, requires cooldown. Ground Melter is an earth-based AoE that deals 30 damage to all of the enemy monsters. It costs 35 stamina to use and it has a 3-turn cooldown. And this skill applies a brand new effect, Quicksand, to the enemy monsters. Now Quicksand, you can essentially think of it as an upgraded Burning. Burning takes away 15% of an enemy's health for 3 turns. Quicksand takes away 15% of the enemy's health for 4 turns. The best part is, no monster is immune to Quicksand. And once again, if you're actually able to land Quicksand on an enemy Voltic, that's going to take away 60% of his life in just 4 turns, and that's not even counting the initial damage you deal on him. And as far as Tesaday being an Earth monster, this can be extremely helpful when you fight an enemy Oros. Oros, as you know, is an extremely tanky Earth monster, and one of the best ways to counter Oros is to apply some sort of DLT on him. You know, we have Deadwolf that can give him bleeding. Well, now we have Tesaday that can give him Quicksand. So with regards to countering Oros, this is an extremely good skill. And next up is Tesla Resistance. Deals moderate special damage, gains thunder protection, requires cooldown. So this skill is a special based skill that deals 40 damage to a single enemy monster. It costs 27 stamina and it has a 3-turn cooldown. And an upside to this skill is that it'll give thunder protection to your Tesaday. Now at first glance you may look at it and be like, oh cool, I get thunder protection, that means my Tesaday won't die from Voltic. And while that may be true, that doesn't protect your teammates. Your teammates are still going to die if an enemy Voltic attacks you. So Tesla Resistance only protect your Tesaday, not to mention that this skill only really applies when you're going up against thunder monsters, and when you look at the skills from skills group 3, Tesaday can actually knock out Voltic in 1 turn. Well, actually 2 turns because he has an extra turn skill, but the point is he can actually defeat Voltic, so why exactly do you need thunder protection when you can just wipe out Voltic? That doesn't really make much sense. On top of that, even though this is a special base skill, it deals 40 damage and it has a 3-turn cooldown. That is an extremely high cooldown for the 40 damage it deals. In my opinion, this skill is not worth it. Now considering Tesaday is an Earth monster, and if you ever plan to take this monster into an Earth Team Wars, you may be thinking it'll come in handy to bring a special based attack, so that's why maybe you might want to run Tesla Resistance, but overall I'm just not really a fan of this skill. The following skill we have is Spoiled Soil. Deals heavy earth damage, may apply Quicksand, requires cooldown. This is an earth based attack that deals 55 damage to a single enemy monster. It costs 31 stamina, has a 2-turn cooldown, and once again it applies the new effect Quicksand. It would have been really nice if Tesaday had a special based attack that applied Quicksand, but unfortunately earth based attacks that apply Quicksand is all we get. So going up against earth monsters, like I said, this could come in handy, especially if it's against an Oros. And really this will work great against anyone. I just tend to emphasize Oros because that's the monster you tend to see on defense, and normally you see Oros with a lot of life runes. So the more life runes they have, that doesn't matter, you're still taking away 15% of their life, and you're going to do that for 4 turns. So Spoiled Soil can be an extremely useful skill. So on to skills group 3 we go, and we have Mountain Fist. Deals very heavy earth damage, requires cooldown. This is an earth based attack that deals 60 damage to a single enemy monster, it costs 28 stamina, and it has a low 1 turn cooldown. So this skill is pretty basic, pretty vanilla, but you do absolutely need to run the skill, because this skill comboed with another skill is what's going to knock out a Voltic. And the skill that combos with Mountain Fist is Storm Instigator. Deals moderate earth damage, gains 1 extra turn, requires cooldown. Storm Instigator is also an earth based attack that deals 40 damage to the enemy monster, it costs 28 stamina, and it has a high 4 turn cooldown, but this skill gives you an extra turn. So the combo is pretty obvious. First you use Storm Instigator, do that initial 40 damage, and then you get an extra turn, then you use Mountain Fist for an overall 100 damage, 100 earth based damage. Now one reason Tesaday can really be seen as a counter to Voltic is because he's an earth based monster, and earth monsters have an advantage against thunder monsters. So if you do Storm Investigator and Mountain Fist, a level 100 Tesaday versus a 100 Voltic is going to deal about 20k damage. That's a lot, especially when you recall that Voltic has a little over 24k life. So basically that means that Tesaday only needs a really low level strength rune to wipe out Voltic. He just needs at least 1 level 3 strength rune, and that makes him strong enough to wipe out Voltic. And I know I tend to be focusing on Voltic a lot, but realistically Tesaday is any thunder monster counter, whether it be General Uriel. General Uriel is probably the tankiest earth monster. If you give Tesaday a strong enough strength rune, he can easily counter Uriel, he can counter Xyla, he can counter any single thunder monster. It goes without saying that you should definitely run Storm Instigator and Mountain Fist. But anyways, the last skill we have is Rotten Ground. Deals moderate earth damage, may apply Quicksand, requires cooldown. Rotten Ground is an earth based attack that deals 45 damage to a single enemy monster, it costs 28 stamina, and it has a 1 turn cooldown. And I don't think there's really much more to say about this skill. Unfortunately for Tesaday, a lot of his skills are really regurgitated, a lot of them just apply Quicksand. It would have been better if he had more flexibility, more variety in his skills, but a lot of them are just repetitions. So now let's jump into what skills you should run on Tesaday. Storm Instigator and Mountain Fist are definite must-have skills, so then that leaves 2 more skills to choose from. If we take a look at Spoiled Soil and Rotten Ground, they basically do the same thing. Spoiled Soil deals 10 more damage, costs 3 more stamina, and the cooldown is 1 turn higher, and if you think that's worth it, if you think that's better than Rotten Ground, then go ahead and run Spoiled Soil. Ground Melter was the AoE that deals Quicksand, and maybe you're the kind of person that likes running AoEs, so maybe you might want to think about running this skill, but you also got to think about a Team Wars. So let's just take a look at a Team Wars example. Let's say it's Earth, Thunder, and some rarity, right? If you start the game off with Storm Instigator and Mountain Fist to take out the enemy Voltic, then it's really going to be a 3 against 2 battle. And let's just say that rarity was like common or uncommon, then in those instances there's really no need to have Ground Melter. It kind of becomes a waste to have an AoE. So in which case maybe you're thinking I'll just run Spoiled Soil and Rotten Ground, and I really don't think there's a need for that either, especially because Mountain Fist has 60 damage, and as for Quicksand, that lasts 4 turns, so you don't really need to keep applying it every 2 turns. So maybe, even though I really dislike the skill, maybe it is worth it to run Tesla Resistance. Again, I really don't like it, you don't need Thunder Protection, 40 damage isn't that much, but maybe that is your best bet. As for me, the 3 skills I would run for sure would be Storm Instigator, Mountain Fist, and Spoiled Soil, and I'm still trying to decide if I want Ground Melter or Tesla Resistance. So I want you guys to let me know what you plan on running, please let me know in the comments below. So now let's move on and talk about runes and the purpose of Tesaday. In my opinion, Tesaday works the best in player vs player and in specific Team Wars, and obviously that would be in Team Wars involving Earth and Thunder monsters. Earth because Tesaday is an Earth monster, and Thunder because that's where you're going to face a lot of Voltics. And I also said PvP because that's another place you'll find a lot of Voltics. Tesaday is in actuality the perfect Voltic counter because he's an Earth based monster that can wipe out Voltic in a matter of 1 turn, and he's faster than Voltic, which means given the exact same speed runes, Tesaday will always go before Voltic. Now for the most part in my experience, enemy Voltics tend to run 1 speed rune, so as long as you and your opponent have the exact same speed rune on your Tesaday and Voltic, you're going to be going before that Voltic. And in a number of situations, if you can eliminate that enemy Voltic, you're pretty much safe. Once the enemy Voltic is gone, he's the main attacker. Once he's gone, you're pretty much okay to go, and then you can go on to win the game. So as far as player versus player, if you're encountering a lot of Voltics and you're sick of it and you want a monster to easily defeat Voltic, go ahead and use Tesaday. But now let's talk about Team Wars. Tesaday as an Earth monster, I would have to say he's not really the best go-to Earth monster. Now yes, like I said before, because he has Quicksand, he can be a really good monster to bring against an enemy Oros. But even with that, there's a problem. Monsters like Oros and other Earth monsters, they can put a lot of shields up, Oros has regeneration, so maybe Quicksand won't be enough to kill Oros. And if you're running Tesaday, kind of like an attacker, you're most likely running your other monster as a deny monster who isn't going to be there to deal damage. So even against the Oros, and even though you have Quicksand, that could be a little difficult to actually win. And one big downside to Tesaday, if you recall, is that his life is 22nd from the bottom. His 25k life, that is extremely small for an earth monster, which means if that enemy earth monster, the enemy denier, gets a few hits on your Tesaday, that might be enough to finish them off. Keep in mind, in Team Wars you really want to maximize the amount of coins you get, so maybe bringing Tesaday isn't such a good idea, especially when we have a variety of monsters to choose from, like General Tomb or Brontis, so Tesaday is not necessarily your go-to earth option. That being said, however, in Team Wars involving Thunder and Earth, I do think Tesaday really shines, once again because he has a perfect Voltic counter, and you'll encounter a lot of Voltics in Team Wars on defense. So just picture this, in a Team Wars involving Thunder and Earth, on Thunder it's going to be a Voltic that has 1, maybe 2 speed runes, then there's going to be an Earth monster that has all speed runes, then it's going to be the rarity. Now assuming that rarity isn't epic or legendary, all you have to do is take care of that Voltic and then the war is pretty much yours. Because there is no way that the enemy Earth monster with all speed runes is going to be able to take out your Tesaday and your other Thunder monster, there's just no way. Even though the enemy Earth monster has that elemental advantage over your Thunder monster, because it's running all speed runes, that means it has base power. So as long as you can eliminate that Voltic, you pretty much won that war. Now I know this may seem a little unconventional, but just hear me out until the end. In those situations, if you purchase Tesaday and you plan to use them only in Team Wars involving Thunder and Earth monsters, I highly recommend you run Tesaday with all speedruns, the best speedruns you have. Trust me, it's gonna work. Keep in mind that I said that Tesaday is tied for being the fastest Earth legendary monster along with Hyrule the Tenacious. This means that if the enemy is running any monster other than Hyrule the Tenacious, even if they have all speedruns on their monster, your Tesaday should be going first. And as far as Thunder monsters are concerned, Mercurius, Thorder, and Xyla the Faithful, they do have a faster base speed than Tesaday, but those monsters would probably never be running all speedruns. ROFL and Griffin do have the exact same base speed as Tesaday, but you normally don't see those monsters on defense. It's usually always a Voltic or a Xyla. But anyways, going back to Tesaday, because he has a speed of 3,476, if you give him all speedruns, he should be going first in a Team Wars involving Thunder and Earth monsters. But here's the thing, a Tesaday with base power, that isn't strong enough to defeat the enemy Voltic. So what you want to do, for your third monster, the rarity monster, you need to give that monster at least one team strength level 5 rune. At the very least, it has to be level 5. And it has to be a team strength rune, an individual rune obviously won't work. If you give that monster a team strength level 5 and you give him 2 team speed runes, that is going to make Tesaday faster than the enemy monsters and is going to make him strong enough to kill Voltic. If you want to kill a Xyla, you need at least a team strength level 6 rune. Now you're probably thinking armor, there's no way that would work. If the enemy earth monster has all speed runes and your Tesaday has all speed runes, and then your rarity monster has 2 team speed runes and a team strength rune, whereas the enemy rarity monster has 3 team speed runes, that's going to make the enemy earth monster faster than your Tesaday. Well, that's not actually the case. Really it depends, and I'm going to use Brontis as an example. I see Brontis a lot on defense when it comes to earth monsters. So for my example, I'm going to assume everyone has level 10 runes. One level 10 rune increases a monster's speed by 35%. So if a monster has 3 level 10 runes, that's a 105% increase to their speed. As for team speed runes, one level 10 team speed rune increases the monster's speed by 12%. So if a monster has 3 level 10 team speed runes, that's an increase by 36%. Which means if on defense your enemy is using a Brontis, and he has 3 level 10 speed runes, and the rarity monster has 3 level 10 team speed runes, then Brontis' base speed is going to be increased by 141%, thus giving him a grand total speed of 7,953. Tesaday on the other hand would have 3 level 10 speed runes for himself, which is once again a 105% increase to his speed, and as for the rarity monster, it's only going to have 2 level 10 team speed runes, which will increase Tesaday's speed by 24%. So Tesaday will have a 105% increase from himself, from the rarity monster 24, for a grand total of 129% increase to his base speed, and that'll give him a grand total of 7,960. Now as you can see, if my calculations are correct, and feel free to check them, if they're not correct, feel free to let me know in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure they are correct, so that pretty much means that Tesaday, without even needing that additional team speed rune from your rarity monster, it's still going to outspeed the enemy Brontis, and thanks to that rarity monster giving you a team strength rune, that's going to make you strong enough to wipe out that Voltic, and once that Voltic is defeated, the game is as good as yours. Now obviously this scenario did work because I used Brontis, and Brontis does have a pretty low base speed. If I use someone like General Tomb, that wouldn't necessarily work, however you could make it work. For example, your attacker, your Thunder monster, let's say you're running Voltic, instead of giving him a strength rune, you can give him a team speed rune, and then that'll make your Tesaday faster, just to eliminate the enemy Voltic. So it's definitely possible. There are certainly ways to manipulate the runes for it to work out in your favor. Now once again, Tesaday, all speed runes, and giving a team strength, it has to be at least level 5 to take out Voltic, or level 6 to take out Xyla. That's all you need and you'll be able to be successful. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Tesaday. I do really recommend running all 3 speed runes if you're using Tesaday just for Thunder and Earth Wars. If you plan to use Tesaday for other circumstances, you could always just go the typical attacker setup, 1 speed rune and 2 strength runes. Or if you want to make him a little more tanky because he does have a really low life, you could always go 1 speed speed, 1 strength, and 1 life rune. At the end of the day, the choice is ultimately up to you. So with that being said, that is going to conclude my analysis on Tesaday. As far as for is this monster worth purchasing, once again that's a question only you can answer. I gave you guys my analysis, I gave you guys my thoughts. I think this monster works wonders in player versus player, and I think he works wonders specifically in team wars involving Thunder and Earth. For other circumstances, he might not be the most useful. There's certainly better Earth monsters. So yeah, once again, at the end of the day, the choice is yours. If buying him will make you happy, go ahead and buy him. Now I want to hear from all of you. What do you guys think about this monster? How do you think he compares to other Earth monsters? How do you think he compares to Baltic, to Xyla, to the other Thunder monsters? Can he truly counter everyone else? What do you guys think about Tesaday? And like always, thank you all for watching. Be sure to let me know who else you want to see analyzed. And remember to dream big and pursue your passions.